Okay guys, so any which way, so let's come back. So what is compensation management? So what is this process about? Can someone explain me the process? What we do in compensation?
Babu here. Morning. A compensation usually what the annual salary we're going to give, or what is the CTC, and if in a later stages after the appraisal are all the changes we're going to bring, like a compensation side, any whatever the changes, salary hikes and all will be managed in this compensation management.
Mm-hmm.
And the rate of years of experience with how much the salary should be, those calculations also will be into compensation.
Mm-hmm. Good. Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
Divisions, salary processing, performance management.
Sorry. First two words, sorry.
Yeah, salary division,
Salary revision, yes, you're right.
performance management, and
Performance management is a different process.
incentive
That itself is called performance management.
goes into incentive, bonus, variable pays.
Exactly, right. So bonus, variable pay, and all these concepts. Okay, what else? What else? Anyone?
Content designations.
Employee stock options.
Employees, sorry?
Stocks options.
Employee talks. Stocks, okay. Stock. Yeah, what else?
Band and designation, Praveen.
Sorry?
Band and designations.
Retentions. Retention bonus.
No, I'm talking about the band and designation.
Band and designation, okay.
Probably superannuation and ESPP, like stock related.
Mm-hmm. Okay. These are all good things. Yes, whatever you're talking about is all related, and these are all part of compensation management. So let's quickly start with the very basic, how it happens, especially for a non-SAP, non-technical guys, okay? So we usually have a self-appraisal, right? So we have a where self-appraisal where you write to yourself, it goes to your manager, your manager rates you, and then you get a final rating. This is what you do in performance management process. Okay, so this is a performance management process that you do. So once you get the rating, okay, you get a rating, let's say you're a star performer and you got 5 rating in the organization during the year-end process. So what will we do here as part of this rating? So you got your rating. So then what happens? So what happens after that, after this is called compensation. Once you have a performance, what you do next is part of your compensation management module. So what happens next? You got a 5 rating, let's say you got a 10% hike. And this is surprise, this surprised you, and let's say there is a medium performer like me, okay, who got a 3 rating, and I'm smart enough, let's say, to get 15% high. There is another person with 4 rating who got, let's say, 5% hike. And there is a 2 rater, forget about it. This is a good example down now. So this is how 3 different people got their hikes. What could be the possibilities? Why you see such a kind of different ratings when you have employees who are performing? So you have a super performer at 5 rating but you got only 10% hike, but you have an average performer who got a 15% hike. What could be the difference? Why? How does this technically addressed? How do you know, or why is it so? Because a 4 rating guy has got a less hike than a 3 rater, as well as a 5 rater got a rating than a 3 rater. Why? Why, guys? Why? What is the possibility?
The possibilities maybe like it is existing salary, the compensation with the market.
The problem could be with his existing salary, yes.
With existing market.
Might be because of skill set.
Right. Right.
And depends on his skills, like it's a niche area which skill he's working on.
Seniority.
Seniority, yes, could be. What
And
else?
how critical the resource is like.
Okay.
And based on the bands or budgets have been assigned in this appraisal process, allocated budgets.
Right, you're right actually. So these are all good points again, as I said. So it could be like this, okay? Let's say for example you're a 5 rater, but you are in a team where you got a different set of hikes, okay? Like for example, you're a core HR guy, okay? So core HR guy is an expense to the organization, so you have a different set of hikes. And your 3 rater, let's say, is on SuccessFactors skill set, which is a niche skill at this point, and you're also bringing revenue, so you got a different set of hikes. So it's not like a rating, I mean, it's not like one rating, one hike. A lot of other possible scenarios. Like for example, okay, you might have got a 3 rating, but your salary currently is very low compared to the market. So the company wants to equalize it, okay, bring it to that level where you're paid on par to your skill set. And similarly, you've got your another employees for whom they're getting more than the market value, and they would like to correct their salary, so that's why you see less hike even though they got a very good rating. So any of these possible scenarios are usually considered part of compensation process. So like, how is this defined? What are the concepts that we have? Who is going to define it? So there are certain rules that we'll talk about within compensation management. So today what we'll do is we might start with a basic set of questionnaire that will help us understand how we do the compensation management process. Okay, so guys, I see certain people who did not enroll for compensation. Okay, before I do something, please make sure you're not here. Okay, that makes sense. So please do this favor by yourself before I bring the names. Okay, so this is good if we can, you guys can handle yourself, please. As I said, this is the problem of people sending emails, okay? So this is something I could not control. And there are people who did not enroll for this. Please make sure you're not in the class. I'm so sorry to say this, but that's how it should work at least. This is only on invitation, please. I don't want to bring names here. So please make sure you guys take care of this by yourself. Otherwise tomorrow link will change and it's again up to you. Because this is disturbing the class in between for me as well. Monitor who's joining. It's obviously a bit tough to control with such a huge population. And I see a lot of users with logging in twice, so I have to go through each one of them to understand who they are. So if you can't judge yourselves, okay, I can do that. But again, as I said, I don't want to be doing all this stuff. So please take care of yourself. And tomorrow anyway, the link will change. If you are not receiving an email, that means you are not part of this course. Okay. Okay, so okay, so coming to compensation, to understand the compensation process for a customer, there are a lot of things that we need to start understanding. First one, the first question that you would ask your customer, how is your compensation process handled? So is it focal or is it anniversary based review? So how is this handled? So okay, so how is your compensation process handled in your organization? Is it focal or is it anniversary? So what is the meaning of focal and what is the meaning of anniversary? Anyone here? Anyone who can answer this? What is a focal review and what is a anniversary review? What is the difference between both of them? What is a focal review?
For focal may come for individual review, and the anniversary, which is anniversary, which is going to be common for all, annually based.
Not really, not correct. What else? Anyone?
Focal may be mid-year or which is done within the year, and anniversary may be once a annual review which is done once for every all the employees.
Okay, not actually. Okay, so let's explain. Let me explain. So focal review. Focal review is usually an annual process that is common for everyone. So your compensation process starts, let's say, 1st of January, ends at the end of December. If you're in India, let's say, for example, your compensation process starts from April and ends in March. So that's like a fixed process for everyone. So if you're joining in between, there could be some conditions that are available for you, but it does not stop you from attending, or it's not like you have a different set of process for yourself. Usually as a company, you follow one set of standard common process. So it starts in, let's say, Jan and ends in December, and whoever is part of the process that will be involved, there will be a lot of other conditions. Whereas the anniversary process is usually not followed by big companies, but some very small companies where you've got an anniversary based appraisal process. This is independent to the organization. It's like it's dependent on you, one person. Let's say you join today, so next year on the same date you'll have an appraisal. So tomorrow one more guy joins. Sorry, yes.
Hi, Praveen.
Yes.
Praveen, actually, sorry to interrupt in the middle. Actually, I was in a meeting, so I couldn't. I logged in, but I couldn't able to listen you actually. So basically, just one thing I wanted to talk to tell you, like, you know, because yesterday we had a short notice, and then it was really difficult for me to have this class 7 to 8 and 8 to 9. I wanted to participate this ECM for your class, very important, but unfortunately going another meeting, so I'm back-to-back meeting because it was not planned before. So I'm missing most of your session, you know. I don't know how, whether you are going to take another one later.
Okay, so I think we can discuss it, Kanchan.
I mean, if it is a, because you only told yesterday that today we have a class 7 to 8 and 8 to 9.
Right, yeah.
So I'll be missing most of the class, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so if you are planning to take later on, maybe I'll miss few things, so just letting you know.
Sure.
I'm not able to hear you, I mean, complete session, you know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Praveen.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Praveen, this is Shashidhar. You're disconnecting me. I think there is some problem.
So Shashidhar, you're coming from Srinivas, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yes. So it was only for EC that you were part of. It's not part for, I mean, you're not part of the whole course. So, as I said, I don't want to take names, so that's why I did not take names.
Oh my God, we don't have any prior information on this, Praveen.
So they have, you're enrolled only for EC, Shashidhar. You, Prasad, and Manoj. I guess that's one of the reasons why Manoj did not join. So.
Oh, I see. We don't have. Okay, fine. No problem. Thank you. No problem. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks. Yep. Okay. So sorry, guys. Let's come back to our discussion. So as I said, focal is an yearly base review, which is common for all the people, irrespective of what their joining dates are, what their departments or nothing. So it's usually planned.
Sorry, Praveen, in 30 seconds, would you be able to give like what you've gone through today? In 30 seconds, maybe if you can, like, if possible.
So I just said what is compensation till now. I'm trying to explain what the basic concepts within compensation are. So I just asked what is compensation. So how do you usually define compensation process? So what are the conditions that might come across? And I just started with how you need to approach a compensation project and how to understand compensation project. So that's where we started. It's just a start. Okay, so
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So we started with how is your compensation process handled? So it's like whether is it a focal review or is it an annual review? So focal review is company specific process, usually where you have compensation handled for everyone, whereas anniversary process is person to person process. So once you join today, next year you have the appraisal in the same date. So that's how it works. Okay, so that would be a first question that you need to take up with your customer when you start working on a compensation project. Usually your compensation projects hold good if they are focal reviews. Otherwise, there is no point having compensation forms generated for each employee on their anniversary. So it doesn't make any sense to do that. So usually this is usually good for focal reviews. And second part. So what are the components of your compensation management? So what are the components of your compensation management?
Monetary and non-monetary?
Mandatory, not mandatory.
No.
Okay, what is,
Monetary and non-monetary.
okay, monetary and non-monetary. Yes, you're right. So, so what are monetary things? So it's obviously compensation is all monetary. So whatever we talk about are monetary things. So what could be your components that you have within your compensation management?
Basic pay?
Basic
Basic
salary,
pay.
including allowance.
Basic pay is, it's, I would say it as not basic pay. You don't want to bring the technical wage types here. It's your current salary,
And fringe
right?
benefits?
Allowance.
No. So you got merit increase. So your fringe benefits and all are not part of compensation management. We don't do it here. Okay. So you've got current salary, merit increase. You've got lump sum adjustments. You've got lump sum adjustments, and then you've got promotion, if it's included, bonus, stock, and options. Yes, long-term and short-term incentives are also part of compensation. Usually this is something that we don't handle in compensation management within SuccessFactors. So there is a module called variable pay, which is used for advanced bonus calculations, or mostly the variable components in compensation management process. So SuccessFactors has got two modules to handle this. One is compensation management, which deals with the standard compensation management process. But when you have this quarterly incentives or annual incentives, which are usually variable based, so they're handled with variable pay module. That's why we have a different module for variable pay, and it's usually used by the real big organizations. For all the mid-market, mid-market and customers with normal bonus process would usually go with the standard compensation management module itself. Okay, so that's something that you guys need to know.
Yeah, Praveen sir.
Yes.
Bhushan this side.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly stock and options?
So stock and options is once you provide stock is like how you rate people. Okay, how much are you eligible to take stock? So just give me a second, guys. Just give me a second. Okay, so these are the problems of other things, as I said of this morning. So this is quite disturbing, guys, for me in the class, because I'm not involved. Don't want to as well. Okay, Preetu, please don't share anything anymore. Okay, thank you so much, because this is quite disturbing for me in the class, because it's already 5 times now that people stop me in between. It disturbs the flow of my things, because I'm not taking care of admin activities. I don't want to monitor this stuff. Okay, there are other people to take care of it, and that's why these things come. Okay, otherwise there is no point in changing links often. So I need to start explaining without explaining a class, okay, which becomes a problem for all of you. Please try to understand the timing, and you should value the timing of the people that are in the class. Like if you look at Kanchan and all, they're in meetings, they're trying to attend, so we should value people's time. So coming back, guys, sorry Bhushan, you're asking what is stock. So usually employees get stock options, right? So
Yes.
you as an employer, okay, for an employee with this performance rating, you can say that this guy is eligible for this amount of stock. So that's something that you can plan. So usually for executives, they have their own slabs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where let's say for each rating, if you achieve this much, you'll be eligible for this amount of stock options that you get from the organization. So it's like an availability. You make it available, but you don't administer stocks. You don't buy stocks and give it to the user. You'll give them the availability saying, okay, you're eligible to take these many stocks. Okay, and then the employee will take the stocks.
Okay, and options?
Options are like availability of stocks itself. Okay, it's one of the terminologies within the stock. So stock options are like, if anyone with a clear financial definition for options?
Okay, fine.
Anyone? So it's more of stock itself, but it's which is like more of an availability. But if someone can explain it better on financial terms.
Let's Google.
Yeah, of course you can Google it. So it's more of stock itself. Okay, it's the stock itself, I can say.
Okay, fine.
Yep. So coming back to
in options can they can then be like the options like choosing one stock or one benefit than other kind of thing, like choosing a car benefit instead of a stock, or choosing
no, you can't do those things. There's no provision to do that. All things that you can do is so all the things that you can do in here is you can talk about your increases like revisions, like merit increase or lump sum bonus, promotion, or stock. You can't talk about fringe benefits here.
oh, thank you.
Okay, so coming back to what we're talking about within compensation management, let's say when you have your processes, right? So you talk about what you have, you talk about how is your compensation process handled, and then you talk about the components. Then you come to how do you do your, how is your market analysis or research. Done. So why do you do a market research or market analysis? Why do you do a market research or market analysis for your organization?
To attrition?
Attrition, no, it's about employee data, okay? So market analysis of your employee salaries and everything.
Exactly. Means best
Mapping the
salary.
employees.
Sorry?
Mapping the employees on equal level.
Yes, to increase compensation should come.
This is what I told you initially, that market analysis, what we do related to compensation is for this particular skill, what would be the range of salary per an annum, and how other companies are dealing those things. Probably they will analysis based on a skill wise. So what would be the rate of salary per an annum?
Right, exactly. So it's like you do an analysis on the type of or the nature of work that you're doing and how much salaries that you're paying, and this is compared with industry standards. So you assign these consulting firms to come up with an analysis of how much other companies are paying and how you're paying your employees. So they come up with a market standard value. So what is market correction? How do you know the market value? How do you correct? Simple. So everyone talks about market correction in compensation or the appraisal process time. So what is market correction? So where do you got the value from market?
So there would be the third-party agencies who's going to provide these results.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be compared with other skill sets and everything that can be changed.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few forums which are available in HR, like even Monster. Those job sets also we do analysis and they forecast.
So whatever it is, so point is you do a market analysis, okay, and you can't do it in SuccessFactors. So it should be done by third party, and you need to come up with your own results of your analysis. So what would be the outcome of your analysis? Usually you have your pay grades mapped to the pay ranges. So you define your pay ranges after your market analysis. Okay, someone asked me what is stock and what is an option. So stock is amount of the stock that is given to you. So it's part of the organization. Whereas option is to buy a stock at a less rate than the market rate. So here the company won't give you any stocks to your account, but it gives you an option to buy a stock at a lesser rate. That's an option.
Stocks like shares or something?
Yeah, stock is a share in the organization. So they will directly give you a share, like they put you some amount of stock in your account directly. Whereas options is they give you an option to buy the stock at a lesser rate.
Compared to market.
Exactly, compared to market. Let's say the company says, I'll give you a 20% discount on my company share.
Okay.
Simple. So they give you, let's say I can give you up to 1,000 options where you can buy stocks at a lesser rate.
You can anytime just buy or sell these stocks, no?
So the administration part is something that the stock guys will take care of, but what we do here is only planning how much you can take.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. So the next one is how is your market analysis done? Is this about how much salaries you need to pay per brand, per range, and all those things. So the outcome of this from a technical perspective for us market analysis is you talk about two things, compa ratio and range penetration. So you talk about compa ratio and range penetration. Two things. So after you have market analysis, so you come up with this, so what is the technical output from your analysis would be, will arrive at a compa ratio and range penetration for employees. Okay, so this compa ratio and range penetration, what is the difference between both of them? Before that, I'm getting again a call, so these people won't stop today. So. Sorry guys, okay, so compa ratio, what is it? So why do we need these two values? As I said, to analyze how an employee is currently paid as per market value. So if the compa ratio is 100%, that means you're exactly paid as per your market value. Okay, so when the compa ratio is 100%, you are exactly paid as per your market value is what you need to understand. So that's like the mid of the range. Let's say for example, you've got so you've got a salary range for an employee whose band is XYZ, whatever it is. Let's say if it's from 80,000 USD to 120,000 USD. Okay, so this is a salary range, and the employee salary is 100,000. Then this is 100, and this is 100% compa ratio. So 80% sorry 80K is 0%, 120K is 200%. So this is what we need to understand. So compa ratio talks about how an employee is paid as per the market value. So if an employee is getting paid exactly the average value of the range, then or the mid value of the range, then he is paid 100% the market value. He is paid exactly as per the market value. Whereas if an employee gets paid less than that, okay, if an employee gets paid, so may know again. So, okay, if an employee K, then he's getting paid 0% compa ratio. That's like he's at the beginning of the range, so nothing. And if an employee gets paid 120%, sorry 120K, that would be 200% range penetration. So remember one thing, when you do an appraisal, you cannot go beyond 200% compa ratio. You can only give him an appraisal till 200% compa ratio. That means you can pay him up to end of that value. Above that, it will throw an error, or it will ask you to move the value to lump sum or adjustments. Okay, is this clear everyone? What is a compa ratio 100%, or what is compa ratio in the first place?
Yeah, but Praveen, do we mention this 80, I mean these figures as what would be the 0% and what would be the 200% and what would be 100% compa ratio in SF?
Sorry?
Will we, at the time of configuration or somewhere in SuccessFactors, will we mention or decide what would be 100% compa ratio and what would be 80%, 120% compa ratio?
No, we don't define anything. We just provide the range. And system knows what is compa ratio 100%, 200%. So ideally system will show you based on the employee salary and the salary range, what is his compa ratio. So during an appraisal process, you need to be aware that if an employee is getting paid more than 100% compa ratio, that means he is getting paid above his market value. And if he is getting close to 200%, that means you cannot give him any further appraisal unless you move him to the next level. It's like if an employee is getting paid 200% of compa ratio, that means it's time for you to think about moving the employee to the next level. So you need to promote him to the next level so that he starts new in that range.
Okay.
Okay, is that clear, everyone?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so what is the difference now between compa ratio and range penetration? What is the difference between compa ratio and range penetration? These two are your benchmarking techniques. Okay, so these are called benchmarking techniques. You might have heard about this word as well during your appraisal process. Okay, we have to go for benchmarking, so we have to do this, we have to do that. They talk about all this jargon, okay, so all the managers, I know there are a lot of managers here. So all these managers use this jargon to say, okay, your We have to go for benchmarking, you have to go for market correction, and then give you a less hike this time. So whatever it is, every year they do a market analysis. So it's just an excuse, I would say. Okay, so what is the benchmarking methodology? So you have got either comp ratio or range penetration. So this is one of the questionnaire that you will be asking your customer. So what is range penetration now? Then we'll kind of discuss a bit more on benchmarking terminology. So range penetration is, let's say you have got same 80K to 120K. So from an employee has 80K to 120K, it's like an employee has 0% range penetration to 100% range penetration. So mid value is 50% range penetration. If an employee is getting paid 100K, that means it's getting 50% range penetration. Okay, so if I have an employee who gets paid 80K to 120K, so that's 0 to 100%, and 100K would be 50% range penetration. The same concept applies. So if you're getting, so if you look at how much an employee is getting paid, so based on the value of his salary, it shows the percentage. The percentage shows how much deeper the employee is in this particular range. So if an employee has reached 100% range penetration, that means you cannot provide him any further appraisals unless you move him to the next level or promote him. So that's something that we need to keep in mind. Okay, so benchmarking techniques, either comp ratio or range penetration, are used to identify how an employee is paid based on the market value. So it's an indication for the employer. If you're paying more than 100% comp ratio, that means an employee is getting paid more than the market value. And if you see an employee below 100% comp ratio, that means employee is getting paid less than what he's supposed to get in the market, which is a clear indication for managers that you are at risk of losing him. So these are certain things that you need to understand from a HR perspective. So this is some terminology which is very important. Anyone, any questions on benchmarking methods? This is not part of your SuccessFactors course, okay? I'm trying to help everyone come to understand what these things are. I can simply go and start with the technical aspects, but we're trying to understand the terminologies or how we do it, what is the process, so that you guys can understand the compensation process a bit better, because I asked you guys to do it yesterday, and I'm sure most of you might not have done it, so I'm trying to explain myself. Anyone, any questions that you did not understand?
Hello?
Yes.
One of these comp ratio or raise penetration, or are we going to use both of them?
So we can use both of them, or you can use one of them.
If you're going with both of them, there would be mismatch between the comp ratio and the range penetration.
Because it's like this, okay? Your range shows how much you are in that particular range, whereas comp ratio talks about whether you are above the market value or below the market value. So it can be used for both the indicators. So
are we going to compare the market value and the range penetration?
I mean, yes, 50% is your market value, but that does not give you anything like above 100 or below 100. So range penetration is used to measure how much you penetrated into that range, salary range. If you are near 100%, that means you're close to complete the range in that band. So you're not eligible for any more hike, right? So whatever it is, so whatever methodology that you use, it could be comp ratio or range penetration. The point is very simple. You cannot go beyond 200% comp ratio or 100% range penetration. Simple.
Right. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a point that you need to understand. If you're doing above that, that would go to So that would go to, so what is this next one, percentage hike? Sorry, it's the previous one, sorry. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Anyone, any other questions, please? Okay, if no one has a question, which is really good, then I can go ahead to the next one. So the next point is, how is your bonus calculated? So how is your bonus calculated? How is your bonus calculated in an organization?
Praveen, the bonus calculation will be depends on the organization plan. It would be on the revenue. It will be on the salary. Those are
Okay.
the major parameters to consider.
Right, so it depends on how, I would say this way better. First, how you are performing. This is what you put, right? Depends on your individual performance, company's performance, and your division performance. Let's say, for example. For example, you're working for an organization, you did an amazing job, which is good on your project, but your company is not doing so good. Let's say you are an SAP HR consulting firm, okay, focusing on providing SAP HR consulting services. So there is no market, so your company is not performing so good, and still up to, I mean, still trying to catch up with your old core HR stuff, but not moving towards cloud. So, and then your division is purely HR, I mean core HR, I mean, or whatever it is. So in this case, for example, even though you might be a star performer, there might be factors that will impact your bonus calculation. So the bonus calculation will be impacted based on your company's performance, individual performance, and division or departmental performance as well. So there could be different weightages given to each of these values. Let's say individual performance will have only 30% weightage on your bonus. So if an employee is performing really well, he will have a 30% weightage of the total bonus eligible for him, and that's a 50% on company's performance, and 20% on your division's performance. So this is how your company says bonus will be calculated. But how much bonus target? How is this calculated? So how much bonus you as an employee you should get in the first place? This is a target bonus. How much is your target bonus? The companies have rules, 12% of basic salary, 10% of basic salary, and all these things. So remember, within compensation module, the only thing that's possible is you can import all the bonus targets by putting some formulas in an Excel sheet, but not directly put some complex calculations for calculating bonus target in the compensation sheet itself. There's something that needs to be handled in variable pay module. Okay, so that's something that you need to understand. Okay, so that's about bonus. The next part is your eligibility criteria. Sorry. So eligibility criteria. So what are eligibility criteria? So why do you need eligibility criteria in the first place? Let's say, for example, your company has a policy which says only executives are eligible for stock and options, and regular employees are not eligible for it. So what you will define is, for all the non-executive employees, you say they're not eligible for stock. That's something that you need to define. Let's say, for example, all employees below manager level are not eligible for bonus in your organization. So you define their eligibility based on certain conditions. So that's something that's very important for you to understand. So your eligibility criteria are defined based on the conditions that your organization has. So within SuccessFactors, criteria can be called as ineligibility criteria. Okay, what does that mean? That means using these eligibility rules, I can say someone is not eligible for something, but not eligible for something. So here we define ineligibility of employees within the eligibility criteria. Is that clear, everyone? What is an eligibility criteria? Just the different things that you might come across in the course. So we're trying to understand what they are. And then guidelines. Guidelines. What are guidelines? What are your guidelines? Anyone with some experience? What are guidelines?
Guidelines are the steps or process of how to increase the compensation on what basis, like age, seniority, on performance, the points on which the compensation is like different set of employees.
Mm-hmm. Right, so anything else, anyone?
Almost like all the above points which cover to decide the compensation come under this ninth point.
Okay, so a guideline defines how an employee should be appraised. Okay, so based on his performance or rating, based on his division and all. So these are kind of guidelines for an compensation manager to actually provide how much hike that they should give. Once you automate the process, these guidelines would restrict an employee's manager from deviating from company standards. So like, let's say for example, you and your manager does not go well, okay? You have a problem with your manager and your manager has a problem with you, but you are a star performer. And if your company is not having any compensation process, there could be a scenario where you are an exceptional performer, you got an exceptional rating, but your manager give you much hike. He gave you, let's say, 4% hike. Guidelines. Your company will have a guideline which will say, okay, if an employee is a star performer with a 5 rating, then he should get minimum of 10% hike and let's say a maximum of 15% hike. That's something that company would define. In that case, a manager will not be allowed to go below 10%. He cannot. Only thing that he can do is do something in the 10 to 15%. Then he might give you 10% in the worst case. Okay, so this is what a guidelines will do in compensation management. Is it clear? What is a guideline, guys? Guys, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So then we've got guidelines, we've got promotion. So are you going to use promotion functionality in compensation management? Yes or no? Because there are people who use it during compensation management process, or sometimes they take it offline. Okay, they don't do promotions here. They simply do it offline. So that once they decide that an employee should be promoted, they just promote it. But if there are companies who do it in compensation cycle, so how you achieve it?
I think promotions only will come into the compensation when there is a change in a pay.
Exactly. When there is a change in pay and you want to promote an employee, you can do it. So promotion functionality is available within your compensation planning. So once an employee reaches, let's say, 100% of his range penetration, there's no way you can actually give him any hike further. So in that case, if you would like to promote him to the next level, and if your company decided to do so, then actually within the compensation template itself, that's something that that we do in the promotion process in compensation management. It's simple. You move him to the next pay grade. That's it. Okay, so I think I'll stop here for today. We'll continue from here tomorrow. So there are a few more basic things that we have to. Then we can continue with going into the system and doing some pre-tasks. I would say this is pre-work for compensation management. So we'll kind of set up the system ready to work on compensation process. So because of the lot of things that come from performance management and compensation management, especially the ratings and everything. So for that you need to put or set the system ready. So that's something that we'll be doing tomorrow once we're done with this basic explanation about the terminologies, and then we'll take it from there. Okay.
Praveen sir.
Yes, sir.
We use the same link for tomorrow class?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Yes. Someone had a question?
Oh, I said thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Good day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Praveen, it's been Ahmed.
Yes.
Actually, I am unable to log in with my laptop, whereas I am able to log in with my smartphone. Why?
You might have to install. I mean, maybe the smartphones are more superior than the laptops nowadays. But the point is, I guess you need to some basic software for that. Do that.
Yeah, actually, so far I using my laptop only.
Not sure.
Is this the same link for next class or different?
I might change it because of the issues that we face today. I want to avoid doing it every day because I obviously want to concentrate on what I'm explaining. Because once I start deviating, I lose